Hello, this is Charles Reiner coming at you from Happy Valley, Pennsylvania, and you're listening to Downbeat with the Blue Band, the official podcast of the Pennsylvania State University Marching Blue Band.
And welcome to Downbeat with the Blue Band. I'm Dean DeVore. I've been with the Blue Band now about 35 years or so, first as a student and now the voice of the Blue Band, and we are excited to continue our podcasts and our video casts here of Downbeat, which is a way for us to get more information to you about the Penn State Blue Band, some behind the scenes stuff, make you understand what goes on to make that amazing day happen on Saturdays when the Blue Band entertains and thrills so many, and some of the people behind the scenes and get to know them a little bit better, especially for those who might want to join the Blue Band in the future, and to connect the present with the past and look to the future. That's all that we're doing here on Downbeat, and we're really happy to have some of our directors, including the two assistant directors of athletic bands, Robert Hickey and Dr. Michquelena Potlunas Ferguson. And we're also excited to be joined by our graduate assistant with the Blue Band, who came here in August, Leila Gil. And they are here to talk with us about their experiences before the Blue Band, with the Blue Band, and some of the things that they enjoy while they work with this amazing organization. So we're going to go around the room a little bit. We'll start with the most senior member, right, in terms of the staff that we have here, Robert DJ, who joined the Blue Band. Was I announcing when you were in?
Yeah, 96.
96, wow, yeah, 94 was my first year announcing. So that was your first year in the Blue Band as a student. Tell us a little bit about where you're from and what you played and then your experience and then how you came from being in the Blue Band to present day.
Well, I grew up in the eastern part of the state in the Poconos, East Stroudsburg.
Yep.
Decided to come here to be a music education major and auditioned for the Blue Band. I had never heard the band
Really?
prior to auditioning. Didn't know what I was getting myself into. Just knew what I wanted to participate in marching band as part of my college career.
Right.
Went through my 5 years as an undergrad, had a great time in the saxophone section.
Yeah.
Was a guide for 3 years, music section leader as well, and just enjoyed every moment of it. After graduating, I went on to be a public school teacher. I taught middle school choir, middle school band, high school band. And then after that, it was time for me to come back as a grad student. So I came back to Penn State for my master's in conducting. Ended up being a grad student with the organization as well. Graduated in 2015. Went off and taught in West Virginia for a little bit. And then in 2018 was hired as assistant director of athletic bands.
And you've been, it seems to me in music education, there's different paths. Either people kind of go through their degrees right away and work their way, or they go and teach for a while and come back. Mickey, your situation, what year did you get into the band?
I started as an undergrad in 2003.
Okay.
And then I graduated in 2007.
Okay. And your path from that point to coming back to work with the band?
Some similarities to BJ. After I graduated with a music undergrad degree from Penn State. Similar, and then I went out and taught public school in Pennsylvania for 10 years. I was at Hamburg High School for a year, and then I was in the Exeter Township School District for 9 years, primarily high school band. And then I had no intentions of ever coming back. I worked on my master's while I was teaching, and I got a phone call from Greg Drain and said, "You want to come back and work on your PhD and be a graduate assistant?" And I said yes. And so I came back in 2017, the fall of 2017.
And back here since, and have successfully obtained your PhD. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
As we celebrated that here in the last year or so. And we welcome the grad assistant. Leila, you have come here from another part of the world, the Southern Hemisphere, coming from Argentina with really very little marching band experience. In fact, probably none, right?
None experience
at all.
Yeah.
What is so you studied conducting in college in Argentina?
Yes, I studied orchestra conducting,
Mhm.
and then I decided I was more into bands, and the place to learn about bands was the US.
Right, right.
So yeah, at first, when I was looking for schools, I knew that probably part of my duties will be a marching band, because I had been told, like, this is like a big part of the band world.
Right, especially in America.
Exactly,
right?
especially in America, which I didn't know when I first got into here. They offered me the assistantship also for athletic bands, and I told them I would love to. I must be honest, I have no idea. And when I started researching, it was no like just a marching band. It was a huge thing.
Right.
It was not like just one more.
Right.
I realized, okay, I'm getting into
A big
deal.
a big movement in this
Yes.
in this country, especially with from education from high school, and even middle schools now have bands and marching bands and
Yes.
concert bands and stuff, and elementary schools. So I think one of the keys to all of this for all of us being involved has been a passion for music first. And to me, that has been one of the things in my 35 years with this organization that has been rewarding to me. As much as we enjoy marching and as much as we enjoy entertaining our fans, supporting the athletic teams, there's a passion for this organization to be really amazing musicians and putting on a quality product. And I think maybe speak to that. How important is it to have musicianship in a marching band? And that's certainly, to me, BJ, a hallmark of this organization.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of gearing up for our audition season right now.
Right.
And a large portion of the audition process is that music audition. We spend a lot of time organizing and creating rubrics to help evaluate the students that are coming in so that we can get the best possible musicians, engaged with the group. And then we take those students as they come into the program, and we continue to shape and mold them, to make sure that they're providing the best possible sound for the group, and to help them improve their skill, whether it's leadership or musicianship skills, because we do think that is a very, very important part of what we do. And I think if you look at, other bands around the country, that's what makes us stand out.
I agree. Mickey, I can remember the very first time when we set the block in 1984, and I was happy to be in that J7. For those who know. The first time we played as a whole band, and I heard notes and music and voices in the band that I hadn't heard in high school. I mean, I think we had one mellophone, right? So that middle voice and then the baritone, and I was like, oh my gosh. It was almost, and I still get that way to hear everything. And we don't have, you look at our balance, we have a smaller number of woodwinds, but there was a arranger who's pretty famous, who arranges for many bands, but happened to say that he believes that his favorite band to arrange for is our marching band because of that balance and that musicality.
Absolutely. I think the blue band sound is a very characteristic sound, even nationwide, and I think it's very recognized. You look at some of the other Power 5 marching bands that do similar things that we do with athletics. There are some Power 5 marching bands that don't have woodwinds. Yes, they don't carry on the field as well, but I think that timbre that they create, especially with the numbers of instrumentation that those that came before us who were just geniuses at it. You look at, Dr. Deal and Dr. Bundy and now Dr. Drain, and that whole progression of how they created that block with that exact instrumentation creates the musicianship that is the traditional recognized blue band sound.
Right. And it's been consistent. Is that something, Leila, you noticed when you got here about the band, even though they're playing different styles of music, the musicality seems to be consistent in terms of the quality that they produce?
Oh yeah, and it really amazed me the first time after band camp, the first time that almost 300 people playing together, it was it surprised me because I think I literally never heard so many people playing before. And which also was amazing was how during rehearsals, it's not only the marching and it's also the music.
Right. And you got to put both those things together.
Yeah, and
right? And then they're spread out over 100-yard field.
Exactly.
It's kind of crazy,
and
right?
they don't give anything. Everything needs to be really like pursue excellence. So that was great. And it's really, yeah, I thought, okay, 300 people playing, maybe this won't sound really nice, but it really like, yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Sounds amazing.
And technology is getting better. And one thing I want to talk to Leila about is her involvement, and then this move to, for those of us that were in the band over the years, flip folders, getting that music from the librarian, losing that music from the librarian, losing your flip folder, having it fall off while you're marching in pregame. We've gone to a whole new system now, right, in the Blue Band, where we're getting our music off of our phone. You're putting that phone on the lyre, and Leila, you were kind of involved in that during the season. It can be frustrating because of technology and the internet and the Wi-Fi, but pretty incredible stuff to be able to help the players on the field by controlling their music or helping them control their music just electronically and over the phone. Pretty cool stuff.
Yes, it's great. It's great because it saves so much time, and also like probably things that can go wrong, like just
Right,
rocking
it
the
blows away.
folder.
Right?
Yeah, like if it's a roll of wind or whatever. And also it gives the director in the ladder like a little bit more freedom. So yes, it's great how technology is helping.
What about you guys? I mean, has that been a big blessing? I guess when it works, it's a blessing, but it really is a game changer when it comes to being able to do the things that we do on the field.
It's a great blessing because BJ really was one of the person that spearheaded it, and he's our technology guru. So for
Yes,
me,
he is.
it's lovely because when there's a problem, I just send them to BJ.
Yeah.
And when it works, it's
Right.
great. No, but it's been and you were the spearhead behind that. You really worked with that company, and you still do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great program. We won't say what university band originated it from another part of the state.
Yes.
But the program works really well. It allows us to make split decisions, in the moment.
Right.
Where in the past, if you had, the band had one song up and you said, we've got 5 seconds and we need to play something totally different because of something that's happened on the field, we can take that 5 seconds, touch, a button on our phone, and it immediately sends it out to all of the students' phones, and we can play that new song really, really fast. It works great in the stadium. We use it with the athletic bands at volleyball games and basketball games, and it works great in those settings just because we have that flexibility to be able to make changes so quickly and to be able to communicate with the students as well.
That's a great point. When I was in the band and up until probably about 10, 15 years ago, it was really the Blue Band was the focus. But as we've evolved and more athletic programs have wanted to have the support of the Blue Band or athletic bands, the athletic bands program has grown exponentially. Started with basketball, got into women's volleyball, and now both hockeys. And it's really been, when I was in, it was just kind of volunteers getting together. I conducted, I think my second 2 years, my junior and my senior year, I conducted the pep bands, and it was really all student led. And now it's this major machine to get the instruments. And what's really rewarding now is we can get so many more people involved, so many more students involved who, because of limitations on size, couldn't necessarily be part of the Blue Band given year. They can still get that experience of athletic bands. And I know you folks particularly, because you're more the day-to-day than Dr. Drain is with that, really appreciating that and enjoying that. Talk a little bit to me about that whole thing.
Yeah, we're very proud of the athletic band program. It actually sort of started when I was a student. Beginning years, it was women's volleyball was a $10 gig if you went and played on Friday and Saturday night,
Yes,
which was very popular because $10 was still $10.
It's a pizza or two, right?
Yeah.
Well, back in those days.
Now it's a gallon of gas, but too soon. Anyway,
No.
But when I was here in 2006 is when Dr. Drain started the Fall Athletic Band, which was that first initial class and course that was organized specifically for students who were not involved in Blue Band in the fall. And that was an organized group with a director getting musical guidance, but also being able to support all those other athletic events, like you said, women's volleyball, and then being able to support men's and women's basketball even more directly in the fall and the spring. When with resources, many of us are involved in football.
Think of the overlap we have now.
Absolutely.
I mean, there was more distinct seasons, and now everything is, it feels like that November to January, February is every sport in the country playing, and we're supporting it. Sometimes it feels like that, right?
November's a very busy month,
It
as
is.
you know.
It is.
Yeah. So, but no, we're really fortunate that came about, and BJ and I, like you said, spearhead that, and we get to interact with so many different students than we would normally get to do so with just marching band.
Let's talk about numbers. So the volleyball band is 100?
No, the volleyball band this past fall was 140 students.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
that is the largest that group has ever been.
140.
Yep.
So then, and what are the basketballs?
So we take that same group in the fall semester,
Mm-hmm.
and there's usually 2 or 3 games that we'll do a full group band for the basketball games, but then usually we split that band in half because there's so many more basketball games than there are volleyball games.
Right.
It kind of balances the workload for the students.
And then hockey's a different group?
That's a totally separate group.
Okay. And those are kind of share the men's and women's games, or?
They do all the men's home games.
Right.
And usually 1 or 2 women's home games.
And the wrestling duel.
And wrestling
as well.
duels, and then other like men's volleyball, say they were hosting something special or traveling in the NCAAs, then the athletic bands go.
Yeah, actually 2 or 3 years ago, we went to down to Philly for the, I guess it was the Final Four men's lacrosse.
Yes.
So
Right.
that was a fun
First
trip.
time Penn State
Yeah.
men's lacrosse have been in the Final Four. Leila, I know in Argentina, songs just break out in the stadium. People sing, you might have a couple little instruments or something in the corner, but nothing as organized as what we do in this country, right?
No, nothing like this. And I was really surprised the first time I was in the Beaver Stadium and the volleyball or basketball game, because it's such a whole show. It's like, it's not only sports, it's everything happening around also, and it's
Yeah.
everything so organized. And the media people working with events, which is great. And I was like, at first I was like a child,
Yeah.
watching too.
It can be intimidating if you come in from the outside and don't know, right? Because
Yeah.
we all kind of have our own language, and we've all been doing it together so long that sometimes there's this unwritten thing. If just we look at each other, we know what is
Oh,
coming
yeah.
up, right?
Well, you should ask them, like, at first of all, there were a lot of words that I was like,
Just didn't understand exactly what we were trying to say, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was, because it's kind of an internal language too, that I would I have been learning, and of course, like, thankfully I have learned from the best, and they are like really, Mr. Hickey, Dr. Ferguson, Dr. Drain, and everyone in the staff is always so helpful, especially with me, that I was kind of, at first I was intimidated,
Right.
and kind of, like trying to do my best, but didn't know exactly what to do. But I think, with great people training me, I got to learn a lot of things really fast. But yeah, and I was amazed also, this was university sports, which, like this huge thing.
Right. You don't necessarily have that subset in
No.
Argentina, right? It's either the local schools, and then you go up to the professional real quick. There's not as much as that college level support.
There is a college level sport thing, but it's not that big,
Right.
and not as big as here. It's like not
For
at all.
sure.
So yeah, it was a lot.
Friends, we're downbeat with the Penn State Blue Band. This is the director's episode, 2 assistant directors and our graduate assistant. I'm Dean DeVore, your host. So glad to have Mickey Ferguson, BJ Hickey, and Leila Gil here to talk about the Blue Band. We talked a little bit about just kind of day-to-day operations, the musicality of the band. We've already talked a little bit about our athletic band program and how great that is. I think one of the unique things about the Blue Band is it kind of operates in a lot of different spheres, which sometimes is good, sometimes it's bad. But the spheres would include the School of Music and Music Education, the Intercollegiate Athletic Department, and then other university needs has come available throughout. But I think one thing since I was in the band, that the evolution of things that I've enjoyed seeing is how much more we're integrating music education. And it seems like back when I was in the band, if there was some tension about whether or not music ed students would have the time to be in the blue band. I think a lot of that has gotten better. And I think, again, like Mickey mentioned earlier, through our leadership previous, through Dr. Deal, Dr. Bundy, and now Dr. Drain, that kind of total package of educating, and it goes to why I think the musicality is good. We're always teaching. So I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about just quickly your teaching philosophies. We'll start with you, BJ, in terms of in this setting, the marching band and the athletic band setting, what are some of your philosophies that you want to try to pass on?
Well, one of the things that I like to do with the students is to give them the tools so that they can do what needs to be done when we aren't around. Okay? Or if we need to go out and take care of something that the machine itself can continue to function. So like with music section leaders, giving them and having the discussions before camp starts, these are the things that you need to be looking for, listening for, and these are possibly some tips and tricks that you can use to help your sections play better. And then throughout the season, we all kind of bop in with our sections to kind of fine tune what those music section leaders are doing, and just to help guide them along the path, to help them learn through the process, but then also to help them throughout the season.
Mickey, it's that kind of teaching through experience and trying to make leaders every day. I think that's one of the things that we're trying to do. And I think that's important from the philosophy from the top down. Dr. Drain has wanted folks to try to take their own initiative. And so that's kind of where I think our teaching philosophy as an organization comes from sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. And we have a very almost a servant leadership type of philosophy that has been embedded within our Blue Band values. But also from a music education perspective, we really do try, especially with music education majors, as you mentioned, we really do try, as BJ said, to give them opportunities to peer teach. These are music educators that are going to go out and teach in the K-12 public schools. And we offer them this kind of talk about building rapport, and our servant leadership towards the School of Music is that we are able to give some of those music education majors more opportunities to teach,
Right.
and get feedback from people who are out doing the work every day. We teach within the School of Music, so we see these students in the pedagogical sense, but then we're able to give them the opportunities to implement it and then give them specific positive feedback in the moment that they can take out when they're going to student teach and when they go out and be contributors to our musical society as their teachers.
And even I think non-music education majors benefit from that because they learn that kind of skill. Leila, I would say, even without them going on to teach other people music, they may be able to go and teach other people other things based on what they've learned and how this whole thing operates. Would you agree?
Yes, of course. And what is really beautiful and inspiring to see every day in rehearsal is how everything is so respectful, how every student is so happy to work in the Blue Band, and they do everything really out of respect for each other, and they are always trying to help each other. So I also think that sense of community is something that it's great about the Blue Band, and every student will take something away from it.
And part of that respect, which is really one of the tenets, remarkable respect, one of our attributes, is both ways. And I think what I've seen over the last several years is the respect from within the ranks to help each other be responsible, help each other get the things done they need to do every day. Before, rather than having to have people from the top down kind of keeping track and making sure everybody, that's coming from the bottom up. And that is what, to me, makes a great organization, right? That responsibility comes from the members. And I think that's one thing the Blue Band has really become a hallmark of teaching here in the last several years. Okay. We'll leave it at that.
I think that bottom kind of that bottom up approach, it allows us to do more, and provide more opportunities for students rather than having to manage everything.
Right. Let's, we've covered a lot of ground. Let's talk a little bit about, for people who are interested in getting into this organization. We're probably being watched by either prospective musicians or their parents or family members. What are some things that you would tell them to do if they're a couple of years away from getting to University Park? What are some things in these years that, as a music educator and someone that will hopefully work with them in a couple of years, you'd like to see them doing to get ready? We'll start with, is there anything from your perspective, Leila, that you would see that a younger musician or a potential band member should be thinking about working on?
Well, of course, practicing the instrument.
Yeah, making sure they're proficient, because you got to be good at it.
Yeah, you gotta be good. Also, marching. There is a lot of things about marching and being in good shape, because it's kind of a working out thing. Like marching 4 times a week.
There was a time when Blue Band was a phys ed credit at Penn State.
Ah.
I mean, there was. So back in the day, and that was even before I was I think in the 70s, you actually were able to, because it's a pretty exhausting thing to do, being out there and
Yes.
going at
It takes a
150
lot.
beats per minute or whatever we march at sometimes.
Or if you have a really savvy advisor back in the 2000s, you could also get
Oh, there you go.
credit for it too. You might wanna know.
Oh, good girl. That sounds good.
And also be really ready and eager to be part of something bigger and of a community that it's kind of what you say, like working all together and being happy to be part of something bigger, which I think is great, especially nowadays.
Absolutely. Mickey, any thoughts from that angle? What would you want the folks to think about if they're looking at marching bands and specifically the Blue Band?
Yeah, specifically the Blue Band, I would say to high school students, practicing sight reading, which is a skill that we utilize a lot. We learn a show every week, and we emphasize that. We've talked about that very recently in our instrumental audition process. So doing sight reading, practicing sight reading, it's a skill that becomes a lost art sometimes. And it's one of those, you can do it or you can't, but you can build on those skills, working with their high school directors or private teachers, and working on those sight reading skills. That helps us with our musicianship. It goes back to that Blue Band sound and things that we're able to do within a week's time. So.
BJ, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, come see us.
Come talk to us, right?
Yeah,
Visit us, see the process.
Don't make the mistake that I made. Come to a football game.
Right.
Come and see what we do and
Right.
how we do it, and interact with us. You can always come to a rehearsal.
Don't make assumptions.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Reach out to us through our website. Also on our social media platforms. We also have other events throughout the year. Bandorama. We have Forward March coming up in just a couple weeks. All of those types of events are created to help engage students that could potentially become a part of the Blue Band family. So come and see us.
What's it like working for Dr. Gregory Drain? I mean, we'll be very upfront here and say that he just walked in the room behind the scenes. So your answers may be evaluated, but I think I know for me, I've known Greg a long time, and I've seen this maturity and this kind of blossoming into a great leader. He challenges you, he makes you think, but I think this organization is in great hands. Just some thoughts about working with Greg.
I think it's been a great opportunity for me. We have I think overall a really, really strong team. The faculty and staff and the graduate assistants that are in the building every day. It's been an awesome experience to be able to go through this program as a student, but then also to come back and be able to work with Dr. Drain. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Mickey?
Well, we are on camera, and this can last forever. So I'll say no. Greg's a great friend of ours. But one thing to realize that he is not only developing leaders within his students, he's developing leaders within his staff. And he empowers us to do what we are good at. Our joke is always stay in your lane in the office. There are certain things each of us is very good at, and he recognizes that, and he gives us the space and then the ability to fail and then the ability to pick us back up. He does it with our students too, and leading by example.
Right.
So I have been given so many opportunities in my young career, and he has handed them to me and said, run with it. And I feel safe to do that. I feel empowered to do that within our athletic band organization. BJ and I work side by side every day. We're on the phone constantly with each other. So I feel safe and secure working with a colleague that looks at me as an equal, which we all know in our offices. And that doesn't always happen. Our support staff is amazing, our administrative assistants and our graduate assistants, they come in eager and willing to learn. Look at Leila. Leila's coming from no athletic band experience, but she asks questions and she feels comfortable trying things and expanding. So I think Greg has taught us to set the example for our students and for ourselves.
So it made it easy for you to come in, Leila, even not knowing anything about marching band in that situation.
Actually, I was thinking about that, how how nice and easy it is to work in an environment where everything works so smoothly. Because I believe that this team spirit is in every rehearsal, in every game day. So it's great because I know that if I have any doubts, I can ask any of them, and they will, gladly
take you under the ring, give you the advice you need, and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think it's been a really interesting situation that we have kind of taken on that motto of athletics in terms of the way there's competition between us and other bands to do some good things, to be as entertaining as other bands and do other things, but we're also trying to teach. And I think that's exactly what the tenet of this organization has been. It's been a really great time to spend with all of you, to learn more about you and what makes you tick and what makes the Blue Band tick. I think we're going to end, at least my thing, give me your favorite Blue Band memory. Now, we'll start with the youngest member of the staff that's on. What's so far since August, Leila? What's your best Blue Band memory so far?
There are a lot, but I think that it was Family Day after band camp. That was a really nice thing to experience because it was like a long week of a lot of work. But watching every member feeling so happy to be there and so willing to learn more every day, that was beautiful. And watching them being part of this great community that carries a lot of tradition, but also it's looking into the future. I think that's something really nice to see. These 300 students all, with the same goal. Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
It is. Mickey, what is your favorite Blue Band memory? I know it's, for some of us on this side, it might be harder because it's we've got so many memories.
Ohio State Whiteout 2005.
That was a pretty special game here. Yeah. I think it set the tone for a lot of things going forward in terms of the way that stadium rocks with the Blue Band. And yeah, that was pretty special. How about you, BJ?
It would have been another Ohio State game.
Which one?
It was 98 or 99. It was a home game. Ohio State's band was here.
Right.
And the student section was really not having it.
Yeah.
So we were in the tunnel and getting ready to come out, and to hear the student section chanting for us, wanting us to come out, and coming out, getting in the block and getting ready to play the fanfare. And I was in C rank at the time, so I had 2 ranks of trombones right behind me, and I could not hear a single trombone because the stadium was just going crazy.
It is. I think there's limited numbers of us that have experienced that, and it is a special feeling, especially to be loved that much for those minutes when we're doing our thing. It's been a special time. Anybody want to close with anything else, or did we think we covered it all here today?
Oh, there's always more to talk about with the Blue Band.
With this group, for sure.
No, thank you, Dean. Thanks for your service all these years. I mean, from a student to staff member to the announcer, and you do all these extra things.
I've had a journey with this group, that's for sure, and it's been a fun one, and it's been a rewarding one. I want to thank Leila Gil. I want to thank Dr. Michquelena Potlunas Ferguson and Robert Hickey for joining us here on a director's edition of Downbeat with the Blue Band. We enjoy bringing these podcasts and videocasts to you to give you more information about the Blue Band. Certainly contact us if you'd like more information. You just have to reach out. Just give us a call and email us. You can find all that information online in our notes section and everything else. Friends, it's been great. This has been Downbeat with the Blue Band. I'm Dean DeVore. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next time here from the Blue Band.
Wow. Take it again.
I want to take one.